someone's eager to make his debut.
Thirsty?
To anybody who didn't see on Twitter, see if he'll let me pick him up. This is Malcolm. This is Malcolm. I already love you.
You're the little guy.
Obviously named after Ian Malcolm in Jurassic Park. Not that that surprises anyone.
Didn't want to stick with the Scream franchise.
I felt like it was time to embrace the opposite one. The other favorite.
As long as you're just sticking with the favorites, that makes sense.
That is what I will always do. What are you drinking tonight? Oh God.
Watermelon.
Have I seen that one before? I don't think I have.
So. Brand new guy. Just a nice little easy drinking watermelon culch.
I have watermelon kombucha, so I guess that's the theme for the evening.
We planned it ahead of time. As we always do.
I wish.
Because everything we do is planned here.
Like nothing today is planned.
What do you mean?
I just got back from TIFF last night, so my brain is still mighty mushy, and God, there's so much work to be done.
I didn't even do a freaking festival, and I somehow have written like 7 reviews this week, and yes, mush is the same thing.
Yeah, we're gonna get to some of those reviews. Where do you want to start? Do you want to start with like TIFF recappy stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I've only technically seen 2 TIFF movies, so
which are the 2 TIFF movies you've seen?
I mean, technically Pearl and VHS 99.
Okay, you want to start by sharing your thoughts on Pearl? I already posted a non-spoiler review, so you can just fill everyone in on where you stand.
Yeah, pretty simply stated, Mia Goth is a freaking powerhouse. Like everything she's doing is amazing. It's like stuck between somewhere like Cinderella and Norman Bates, all these like fantastic just little elements of like show tunes over on this side, and like dragging in old school Hollywood and stuff like Oklahoma and stuff like that. And then like Wizard of Oz was a huge influence, obviously, I think Ty West said. And then on the other side, you're taking all the horror elements, and the way that she just goes crazy is amazing. The only thing I'll say though is like it kind of feels unfinished and not super substantial, where like X has a fuller narrative, and it's kind of just a meatier story, where this feels like the comparison I made is like X is a full video game, where Pearl feels like a downloaded content add-on that just kind of feels like, all right, this is fun in the moment, and like it very much reads and feels and plays well. It was written in 14 days, so that was my thing. I still like it. I'm very positive on the film and the performance, especially of Mia Goth, but I don't know. I just kind of felt like it was kind of underwhelming as like a whole entire story.
Okay. Rogers agrees.
Or disagrees.
I think those actually might be disagree barks. I think Rogers is more on my side, where I do kind of get the comparison of it being more like what did you say, like a companion piece or extended edition of a video game add-on,
like downloaded content, like it's that little thing that's like here's a little add-on, here's some more fun.
I do kind of get that, because I feel like it has to be a different type of story given the fact that we do know who Pearl ultimately becomes, but I don't know. I still found it to be a very full story, but about a different part of her journey. I feel like I'm talking in circles so as not to reveal certain things, which are pretty much givens if you've seen X. But I don't know. It feels like a pretty full character arc to me, where there's certain like qualities of her and tendencies that are just like further and further brought out given what she goes through, until ultimately she's very clearly on the path to the person that we know she becomes. But I am obsessed with the fact that they are turning this into a significant franchise. Like, I thought we were lucky enough just to get 2 of these movies in a single calendar year, which doesn't really happen very often. And now we're turning it into a whole franchise for Mia fucking Goth.
Well, I really like how they're how Ty West is kind of playing this trilogy angle, because X being the starting point and having MaXXXine and having Pearl, and the way I'm reading it is he's telling 2 stories about X Factor and like what it means to like find your X Factor and all that stuff. And again, without going to spoilers, like the way Pearl tells it, it's a more tragic story of someone who cannot find what they think they have, and that person having to deal with the fact that they are normal, you know, whatever that commentary is. And I'm excited for MaXXXine a little more, because now we're going to see the other side of it, where Pearl didn't get what Pearl wanted, and that is what drives the narrative of Pearl. The narrative of MaXXXine is going to be the girl who has the X factor, and how does that actually turn into a horror story? And I think that has the potential to be a little more in my wheelhouse.
I love X and Pearl, and I'm really excited for MaXXXine. I'm excited to see him explore those themes and ideas through a different from a different angle, and also likely through a different form of cinema too. I mean, that's another part of this franchise that I absolutely just adore.
I mean, I hope MaXXXine is his Neon Demon in a way, like taking that kind of LA approach, and the way that it kind of goes with the celebrity, you know, without spoiling Neon Demon either or anything like that, but like the way they do the whole LA satire, and the way like LA can eat you alive, and that turns into a horror story. Like that's, I feel like MaXXXine has the potential to have that.
I just can't get over how good Mia Goth is. It's just like the that monologue is incredible. I guess I can say this because we did record it, but she's my next Collider Ladies Night.
Nice.
We taped in person at Toronto, so it's like, not only is it one of the few in-person ones I've done since lockdown ended, but it is also the very, very first one we've ever recorded out of a film festival, which is very cool. But like, she's something else, and I flat out said this to her face. Like, I know these types of performances are not going to get honored at the Oscars just because, like, it's a genre movie, and we can't seem to wrap our heads around that just yet. But it's like, if she were nominated for an Oscar, the clip that they would play is from that monologue, if not the end fucking credits of this movie.
I was going to say, make it the end.
Brilliant. What a smart idea.
The call me by your name, it literally trumps call me by your name, and the slow pan in on a character's face and stuff. It's so good. And like, that's the thing. Like, even in my review, I definitely called out that, just what you said, like, Mia Goth belongs in that conversation with like Toni Collette and like Jane Levy and like all these people who, you know, did these tremendous genre roles, and they don't have to get the Oscar recognition. Like, horror doesn't, that's not what horror does. Like, horror does what horror does because we are the outcasts and we love it. But she belongs in that conversation, like throwing them like Elijah would for Maniac. I just wish there was a little, like, it's a full story to me. It just kind of feels like they stretched out a pretty simple concept. Like, for all we know, like, we know who Pearl is, and the way that Mia Goth plays Pearl is fantastic and so lived in, and like the way that she conjures that backstory so quickly, again, in like a quarantine lockdown, is fantastic. It just felt like maybe it could have shaved off like 20 minutes. Like, it just didn't feel like some of the mid stretches were very consequential and just had to happen to make the story go along, I think. And that's like, it's just a quibble, you know. That's the quibble.
All right, I'll have to agree to disagree on that one.
I get it.
There's something
like
else.
X is going to be in my top 5 horror films, maybe top 10 like regular films this year.
Yeah.
Pearl isn't even like close to that. Pearl is like cool.
X, the only reason I feel very good about X being in my top 10, or like maybe top 20, I have to say, because we still have so many more movies that are coming out this year. But why, like, I've watched that movie quite a few times at this point, so I feel pretty good about that cracking the list ultimately. But I have only seen Pearl once, but I did love Pearl, and it gave me that feeling like I should be rewatching it for consideration. So for all I know, my list will have double Ty Wex in it.
Ty Wex.
Did I just say it? Wex?
Ty Wex.
Ty West. Ty West. I still have like TIFF brain and like, I don't know, TIFF face, I guess. Like, I'm surprised that
resting TIFF face.
Resting TIFF face. I'm surprised that I could like say any name at all at this point, or even form a coherent sentence. Like, my brain, the last day of our interview studio, was just like absolute mush. I think I wound up doing 19 or 20 interviews overall, and every single one of them, I think, had at least 3 people. So like, if you like average it to 5, I had to memorize all those actor names, all their character names, their movie name. Like, the one, you'll be able to see this, I'll fully admit this, you'll be able to see it when I post this interview. But at one point I introduced the cast of How to Blow Up a Pipeline, and I nearly said How to Build a Pipeline. Like,
Yeah,
things like
because
that,
that
which is,
sounds
like,
rational.
actually the opposite of what that movie is. That movie is really good, by the way, and I don't think it could have found a better home than Neon, so I'm very happy for that
Nice.
team, but my god, my brain was just, like, feeling the weight and the pressure by the end of that.
I was trying to write my Goodnight Mommy review, and I was like, it's like 1 in the morning because the idea of like screen a movie and turn it around by next morning, like because embargo, we have to do that
Yeah,
shit.
I thought we were gonna talk
And
about
like
embargoes.
yeah, like literally just sitting there trying to write my Goodnight Mommy review, and I don't know why I wanted to call it Goodbye Mommy so bad. And
Yeah.
like I'm editing it, just going like not goodbye, not goodbye. This is good night. It was just the brain was just like turned off by that point.
I've definitely been there. Is the embargo up on that?
Oh yeah, that's done. No.
How
I saw it Wednesday night, and Thursday morning was the embargo.
and?
Oh, it's bad. It's bad.
Fuck.
They did. So here's the director's statement. The director's statement is basically he got excited to do this remake because he could do something that not many American horror remakes do, and basically change the meaning and possibly change the genre. So basically, he said he was excited to do Goodnight Mommy remake because he wouldn't make it a horror movie. He did that. He made it not a horror movie, and it's bad. He stripped out everything that makes like the original visceral and so gut punchy and like so affecting, and he turned it into a melodrama that pulls all its punches and explains everything to you because of course American audiences can't understand a movie like Goodnight Mommy.
That's really upsetting. I
Yeah,
was,
it's bad.
I didn't think we I mean, I hate saying this because it's such a
Yeah.
broad statement, but I didn't necessarily think we needed a remake of Goodnight Mommy because it's a fairly recent movie, and I'd like people to discover the original, but
Mhm.
I had some hope because it's Naomi Watts, and I think she knows what she's doing when picking projects and people to work with, but I guess,
The Ring. The Ring.
well, I mean, my mind immediately also then, like, flooded my brain space with all the Ring sequels, but, like, that's not her fault.
Well, oh no, I was gonna say because like it's a hilarious anecdote when I was doing like research for the review really quickly. Like I think it says she's been in 7 remakes or something, like something insane. Like she
Wow.
has been tied to like 7
Huh,
readaptations or remakes or something like that. So yeah, no, she is
interesting.
absolutely doing a lot of good work elsewhere. And she, again, here's the problem: like performance is great, like she's doing fine. It's just the approach of this is so slow and plodding, and like they take every element of dread out of it. Like they've
Hmm,
just stripped everything that like there's a great cockroach scene in the original. There's these great masks, and like the kids are
hmm,
creepy and the kids are unsettling, and everything is that in this is like just the Lifetime basic kind of drama take of like a family trying to figure their shit
hmm.
out. But then you have like Naomi Watts playing, she's playing a character that like flies off the handle for no reason at times, and like there's just no tonal connectivity. So real, as my review stated, real good night audience.
I'm very funny. At least I have one less thing to watch, I guess.
Yeah, not worth your time.
I think, I think I ultimately like, if I did 20 interviews out of TIFF, I probably saw about 25 movies,
That's
and,
yep, nope.
it was a lot, man. A lot. I feel
I'm
like what
doing
maybe I'm, like, trying to think of how to, like, talk about some of them. I feel like we might as well bring up the big one first, or the one that's making the most noise at this particular moment, and it's The People's Joker, which I was lucky enough to see before it got pulled from the film festival, and I interviewed the filmmaker, Vera Drew, and I asked, like, I flat out asked about the legality of it all, and, was basically told, like, parody law and that type of stuff. And while I was sitting there watching it, like, I guess part of my brain was saying, like, wow, this is like a big swing just in terms of using pre-existing characters, and how does one make this happen and then gain distribution and deal with all, like, the business hoops that you have to jump through. But isn't parody, like, a legit thing?
I mean, parody is a legit thing, but like I think I don't know. I obviously I'm not getting into the legality of it and all this stuff, but like at
Yeah,
the
I'm not
same
a lawyer,
time,
I
like
know
you've
nothing.
like parody law, when I think of parodies, they're like YouTube videos and things of that nature. Like, you can't take down a YouTube video for doing parody, but you're also not trying to market that and make money off of that and like license it as like a feature and stuff of that nature. So like, I wonder if that's where it gets dicey, because
Is that always necessarily true though? It's like, for example, whenever I
Amelia's bringing up Scary Movie and trying to like Scary Movie 100%, I guess, but they don't explicitly say the names or anything like that.
You can't trademark the word Joker.
It's true. I don't know. I'm just
and that's the thing. As like, as far as I remember, because I saw the film a little while ago to prepare for my interview, but as far as I can tell, like, nothing was actually taken from a previous movie. In fact, the way that that movie was made and like the artistic quality of the visuals is kind of it's impressive, and it's really cool how it all came together. So Vera Drew and the screenwriter Brie LaRose, they kind of like spearheaded a lot of it in terms of putting it together and developing the story. But the only reason that that movie was made was because like a whole bunch of artists, including them during lockdown, basically shot the entire film at home on green screen, and then they added mixed media to fill out the world. Like, there's animated parts, and
yeah.
it's very cleverly made, and it kind of like it oozes with love for getting to take these characters and this genre that doesn't usually represent everyone out there. It just like oozes with excitement for telling their own story. But then on top of that, also like storytelling and filmmaking in general. And I think that's part of the reason why this movie really sucked me in, and I really appreciated it.
Yeah, and I think the other thing is like the director's statement that they released recently. It didn't say that they were being like stopped. It more or less said they were being threatened, which again, like, you know, like that is not good. I am not advocating by any means. So the way that the statement read was that like TIFF 100% backed them showing it like at TIFF the first time and saying, no, like, you know, we believe in your film. We want you to show it. And, you know, the way that it was worded in the message they put out was kind of like, we were contacted by a very big studio and basically bullied into like not showing. Hence why it got after that taken down, because it's like, all right, we showed once, we got our movie out there, and now like we're not going to create a hassle for other people. I'm curious to see what happens now, because it's slated for both Beyond and Fantastic, which are two festivals that I'm covering and I would love to watch it at, and how this looks going forward, because once again, like the note says, they're looking for distributors who are going to back them and put the movie out. So I don't think it's a thing with they're being handcuffed per se, and they can't do it. I think it's more a situation where WB is like, yeah, no, fuck you, we don't want you to do this, and like they are threatening and they're doing not cool shit. But like I think there is still an avenue where this movie comes out and this movie actually like happens in that way, where like, you know, parody law or whatever it is, like it's still in effect and they are under that umbrella. It's just what WB is willing to let happen.
Yeah.
Which is ugly. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, a big part of the reason why this makes me sad is because Vera and the team were inspired to tell a story like this because the big studios won't tell a story like this that speaks to a certain type of audience. And now all of a sudden you have them basically pulling off the impossible, making a full feature film for probably next to no money. And then you got the big bad studio stepping in and say, people can't see your hard work. It's like, it's frustrating. And again, I don't know anything about, you know, the legality of all of this. So if there are any like clear black and white rules that are broken, I mean, if it's the law, it's the law. I don't really know the specifics of that, but just, you know, the idea of like this kind of like black hole of content that we have in superhero genres, just in terms of how it represents more people than we traditionally see in those films. Like that part of it is really disappointing to me.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's the key that I'm honing in on, is the fact that like the director was able to say like, we're still moving forward with this, because they can't say that if they were hit with actual legal action. So I think it does sound like WB is like threatening. I think it does sound like
that's what I would
they are
think.
just they're throwing their weight around and they're saying like, you better not release this. So, you know, then it unfairly is now on the director to say like, well, do I release it anyway and see what happens? And like, honestly, I kind of think yes with this movie, because
I
like,
hope
what's
so.
WB going to do really do? Like, what are they really going to do at the end of the day? Like, they're threatening now and they don't want it to happen, but at the same time, like, they're going to let this go. Like, I don't think that's something they're actually going to like.
I would hope so. I mean, like, that's the other part of it. Like, I know you have to like protect what you own in this cutthroat business, but like, what is the point? Why are you doing this to an independent filmmaker that
Business.
that I, what? But even then, even with the business, why? How much is this going to impact your business? In fact, maybe it'll inspire even more out there to craft different types of superhero stories that then you can add into your massive $1 billion making franchise. I don't
And
know. That's,
maybe they don't want that.
as I said that, I'm like,
Oh
that's
yeah,
wishful thinking, and
yeah.
maybe that's part of the issue here, but fuck,
I mean,
it's
that's the
pissing me
crushing thing.
off.
Like, what if they are playing to a certain audience and they don't want those kind of movies out there? That's the other reality of this. And I mean, like, everything we're seeing with the merger and
If
stuff
I
of that
ever found
nature.
out there was any truth to that, that would,
I mean, look at
that
what they're
might move
canceling
me.
already. Look at
Yeah.
what they're canceling already.
Well, I know. I've definitely
Yeah.
thought that. If anybody wants to know the quote that Vera gave me during our interview, and like the question was legit, like, um, is it truly illegal to the point where getting a distributor might be a scary situation? Because can they distribute it? As in, can they
Right.
distribute it at all? And here's what Vera said. I think this film can be 100% distributed. It is completely protected under fair use and copyright law, like a parody law. The only things that make it weird in both of those categories is nobody's ever taken characters and IP and really personalized it in this way. So I think that's the thing that really kind of makes it seem a lot more dangerous than I actually think it is. I mean, I get it. Look, I put illegal comic book movie on the poster, but that was just to get your butts in the seats. I mean, it's again, I am no lawyer, but that sounds like a really fair point to me.
Yeah, and again, like if there was something legal about this, and if they actually if WB actually had legal recourse at this point, they would have taken that. Like that would have been the first thing they did. They would have slapped him with a cease and desist or something, and that would have been exactly the way they went about it. So the fact that that is not what they did makes me very much seem like they're going to throw their weight around. They're going to do what they can, but this is, you know, and like, again, like that's shitty enough that they're like throwing their weight around with an indie creator, like you said. And like, this is someone who made a passion project, and what is the big deal at the end of the day? But at the end of the day, like, you are putting something out there that does go against the franchise they are building. It goes against the tonality that they are putting out there, and it goes against the fans that they are catering to. So it's both sides there.
Yeah, I've seen some of the not that everyone's not nice, but some of the
Not
not
that
so nice
everyone.
fans in the comments section of that interview, which, like, if anyone out there in the meantime, while we're waiting to see the future of this movie and how it is gonna be released, if you want any insight into how they actually made this thing, which feels like a movie miracle to me, they gave a
Yeah.
whole lot of insight of the whole process and, like, how they got Bob Odenkirk involved and stuff like that. So that interview is on the Collider Interviews YouTube channel if anyone wants to watch it.
Yeah, which is a very interesting one as this all folds out. Obviously, like, you know, those quotes are going to be used now forever and stuff like that. It's not over. Like, obviously, we're going to hear a lot about this movie and it's the way it plays next. And again, if they go to these festivals like Beyond Fest and Fantastic and they still show again and they keep doing it, because if they keep showing, then we really know there's no legal recourse there, and it's just going to be a lot of huffing and puffing. But again, like with the huffing and puffing, what can they do? Like, you know, what can they actually do to these people? And you have to think the filmmakers knew the risk. You have to think everyone knew what they were walking into here. So you know, like you took this on, and I kind of think it's really cool and punk rock in a way. But like, if you already took on this challenge, I think you're going to see it through. I think if
I
you
would
come
hope
into
so.
this with that movie, like you already know what you're facing, and I do think that this will get distro. It'll get all the people that like are going to champion it hard, and then we'll see it wide at some point. Well, not wide. Sorry, this is going
Yeah.
VOD. Let's be
I mean, you
honest.
never know. Like, who knows? It could blow up and actually get
That's
that kind of
true.
distribution from all this.
It's
But
true.
this assessment is made after like what, a 15 to 20-minute interview and seeing
Yeah,
some social media posts. But I do believe that Vera is the kind of individual who is not going to back down and will fight to see this through and get
yeah,
the movie seen by the most amount of people out there. And I keep my fingers crossed that it pans
yeah.
out in a positive direction.
We like to see the little guy win every time, every once in a while, you know. We
Yeah.
like that.
I like flat out blurted that out to somebody at some point. Oh, fuck. Now I don't want to misquote, but it might have been during my Nanny interview. Have you watched Nanny yet? That's
I
coming
have
out
not. No,
soon. Prime
I haven't
Video.
had a chance yet. Yeah,
Um, I think the director referred to her movie as like the big little film that could, and I think my reply was, I love all movies, but I think I'm primarily here for the big little movies that could because there's something special, and
it's
I
true.
believe it. I believe it.
I think that would like not to call Clerks 3 a big little a little big movie or a big little movie or whatever, but like in the same respect, like I ended up I think genuinely liking that more because Kevin Smith made that like he's always made his movies for himself, but like it was so deeply personal and so deeply like fuck you, I'm gonna go out there and make my movie exactly how I want to, and either you can love it or hate it. Like I just found that charm so much more endearing, and like yeah,
Mhm.
I think that sentiment is it's always something I look for.
Yeah. What else did you hear about at TIFF that piqued your interest?
So here I'm very curious about this because VHS 99 premiered and I didn't see dick all of talk about it
Well,
afterwards.
I mean, I stayed at TIFF a pretty
Yeah.
long time. I feel like the bulk of people on our side of the business at least seem to prioritize weekend one and those big premieres, and then they
Hmm.
leave. I always tack on a couple of extra days so that I could see movies after our studio closes. So I was there for a fairly long amount of time, but it premiered after I left.
That's fair. Okay.
Otherwise, I
It
would
was
have been
just
there.
yeah, like it was just so weird. Like I feel like that franchise at this point has a pretty good standing amongst horror fans at least. And to hear like nothing come out of it, and then the few reviews I did see were like obscenely negative. Like Evangelista thinks it's the
Right.
worst of the
Oh.
franchise and all that stuff. And like I like everyone's I'm not dogging the review. Like I think
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah.
did you see it? You didn't
I
see it,
No,
right?
no,
Okay.
no.
So like
If I did not do an
yeah, yeah, yeah.
interview, I was not seeing it.
Like it's a really interesting one, and like I think I can give my thoughts because it's premiered at this point and
Yeah.
I've written my review and
Reviews
it's going
have
to
been
come out.
out.
Right. So like my review's coming out for it, and like it's a really interesting entry because to me it feels the most unified.
Mm.
Everyone kind of took the same creature forward, practical effects forward approach, and it's not as like divvied up, I'd say, where like the segments are so here's a ghost story, here's a monster story, here's a zombie story. They all feel in the same kind of like a grab, like if you reach your hand to a grab bag 5 times, like you'd feel like you got the same thing 5 times, which isn't bad because it's different filmmakers playing in this insane world. And like the biggest thing to me is kind of like the Deadstream people closed it off, and it feels like they did a continuation of Deadstream, and that is what all of the segments kind of feel like in some way. Just these really low budget practical effects that kind of hit pretty hard. And if you're into that Midnighter vibe, I don't know, I had fun with it. So like I feel like I'm going to be the only positive review out like pretty soon. So I don't know. I'm really really curious to see how it's received by the rest of the public because it's rough around the edges. It is again very low budget. It's kind of like the effects are either in your wheelhouse or you're going to despise them.
Okay.
But like Johannes Roberts is a great segment. I've
Why does
really
that
liked
not
as
surprise
well.
me?
Yeah, so he does a great segment until a monster shows up and it looks like a Halloween Horror Nights scare actor. And it's like that is the vibe of this one. Like you're
Okay.
doing really well for a little bit, and then all of a sudden, like the ghost with a mask on that can't move its mouth appears and starts like looking in a window or something, and you're like, okay, we're just like Halloween Horror Nights, just vibing on this. But yeah, like Roberts is really good with claustrophobia. Arachnophobia, trigger warning for anyone that doesn't like spiders,
Mhm.
and aquaphobia, fear. So like he does a really good job with that stuff. Tyler McIntyre also did a really fun one where he basically takes the scene in American Pie when they are spying on Shannon Elizabeth via webcam, and he turns that into a horror segment, which is very nice to see. And yeah, like those to me are the kind of the standouts. But yeah, so then you have the Deadstream people doing Deadstream again in a way that is very tonally alike and the same. So it hit everything I wanted. I laughed, I had fun. but I feel like a lot of people aren't. Like,
Okay.
if you don't have that sense of humor and you don't have that kind of like, I don't know, tolerance, I guess I would say, for some of the effects, it's going to be a rough watch.
All right. All right. I mean, I'm still gonna watch it. I watch all those movies.
Exactly.
Um, I mean, you talking about sense of humor, I might as well bring up I saw Weird, the Al Yankovic story.
So mad.
Um, I liked it a lot. I definitely
Yeah.
enjoyed watching the entire movie. I preferred the first half to the second because the first half felt, like irreverent and like big crazy comedy, but it still had like a tinge of groundedness to it where I was able to link together the true experience or inspiration to the craziness that I was seeing on screen. And I felt I was getting the feeling like they were really going to be able to say something, but with parody versus a straightforward biopic. And it's not that I didn't enjoy the second half. I did like it quite a bit, and I would sit there and watch it all over again, but it goes off the rails in a much bigger way, and I think that that was the less strong approach featured in the movie, so I just wish it had done the first half all the way through, but it's like it is just a lot of fun watching, Evan Rachel Wood and Daniel Radcliffe just go for it. Like, they just went like dove in head first and were game to do anything, or at least that's what it appeared to be to me. And it was a pretty perfect selection for the first midnight movie at TIFF because that audience went wild, wild.
Yeah, I did not get Beyond Fest tickets for that one, and I'm so mad because that is priority for me on the list. I'm stoked on seeing it. So everything I saw at TIFF, everything I saw from everyone who saw it, like I'm feeling pretty good about going in there and having a blast with it. And like what you said is kind of what I've heard as well. But comparisons to Walk Hard are always going to get me
Yeah.
in a seat no matter what. So like you didn't need to say anything more. Like I saw a bunch of people compare it to Walk Hard, so we're done. Like I was done on Weird Al because I'm like a huge Weird Al fan. Seen Weird Al in concert. I have all his fucking CDs and shit like that. So I was sold on concept, sold on
Mm.
Radcliffe doing weird shit, like you said. Like
Oh my
him
God.
going for it is, I think we knew he was going for it after Swiss Army Man. So
Yeah. He's just become one of those people where it does not matter what type of project he attaches himself to. I will prioritize seeing it because he usually does like bold, crazy, unique things. And like that's the kind of creative energy I need in my life all the time.
I mean, like, for Guns Akimbo, I'll just use it as an example. Like him taking the Guns Akimbo role is just
Mhm.
not what you expect from Daniel Radcliffe, the
Exactly.
dude in his slippers with guns fastened to his hands, and he has to just walk. Yeah. So
And he
I
owns it.
am. He has earned so much goodwill with me in that no matter what he does, I think it's going to be a bizarre, crazy swing.
So to highlight a couple of the other movies that I saw that I really, really loved, um, this is actually another actor out there who whenever she signs up for something, I will sign up for it because she picks really good projects and she works with super cool people. It's Marsha Stephanie Blake. You remember how high I was on Loose, right?
Yeah,
Loose
absolutely.
Loose was one of my favorite films of the year, and I got to talk to her for the first time for that movie when it debuted at,
Nice.
Sundance at
I
2020
think that makes sense.
19?
Yeah, yeah.
But anyway, I've been watching her stuff ever since, and I noticed that she was in a new movie called Brother that was playing at TIFF, and it is so good, Matt, and it's like I'm still really excited. Like I love Knives Out. I love The Fablemans. I loved a lot of the bigger stuff that's, going to TIFF to tee themselves up for potential Oscar consideration.
Yeah.
But it breaks my heart that it feels like a lot of those movies are overshadowing the movies on the hunt for distribution and movies with, and I genuinely mean this, movies with Oscar caliber performances in them, but movies
Mhm.
that will never be considered because they don't have that kind of studio backing and they're not rolling into the festival as like an Oscar package film that
Yeah.
already is on Gold Derby lists. But that whole cast, it was Lamar Johnson, who I first took notice of in The Hate U Give. He's fantastic. He's going to be in the new Last of Us show. Aaron Pierre is like just really incredible in this film. He was in Old. He plays
Oh,
fuck.
is he
Now I'm
the
gonna forget the
rapper?
character's name. Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah,
he
yeah.
he was really good in that, but this performance
That's great.
proves he is,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
next level. Like, there is just something about, like, his presence and the way he carries himself and, like, commands, like, the room and the screen and the audience that that character needed, and he just does it so perfectly. Marsha Stephanie Blake is a powerhouse, and then Kiana Madeira from Fear Street is in it too, and that was a special, special movie that I really wish more people were talking about right now.
Well, I think we're all getting used to that environment again. Film festivals for a while during pandemic conditions and stuff like that, like, it was the big names. You just kind of had to kind of like rely on the big names and go through that. And now we're getting back into going to theater, like, going to a festival, discovering things like, even me going to Overlook, like it's a tiny horror festival. So everything there is already, you're trying to discover something. And it's kind of, I think, harder. So I guess like when I go back to Brooklyn in October, like that's gonna be my first time really sitting down at a bigger festival that has the big titles, but also exploring kind of like how can I find the little things. And like I miss that feeling. I haven't had that in a long time.
Do you know what they're screening it?
Yeah, they have a pretty big lineup. It's pulling from Beyond Fest. It's pulling from Fantastic. A lot of the stuff they have there that's like new or like premiere-ish. Or for me, it's huge. Like Satan Slaves too, like the sequel to Satan Slaves. Like Satan Slaves to me is one of my favorite horror movies I've seen since it's come out. So like it is just top there for me of like the decade and stuff. So like I'm really stoked they have that sequel. I'm just trying to think of like the big stuff. Like they're doing a lot of retro stuff, so it's hard to say like they don't have Smile from Fantastic Fest, like that's Fantastic Fest opener and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So for me, like that makes it even more exciting though, because I'm gonna go in there, like you said, and just kind of like dig and dive and find all of these little gems hidden in there. And I don't know, like I'm pretty stoked on that.
Half the fun.
Yeah.
Let me see if I saw many other Midnighter. Oh, here's like a good one. I saw Susie Searches, that one with Kiersey Clemens.
Oh yeah.
That one I really liked. It has Not Okay vibes. You watch Not Okay, right? With Zoe Deutsch?
No, I didn't watch that yet.
Watch that. I think you would like that, and I think you would like Susie Searches too. But it's all about how nowadays people will cross certain lines in order to either achieve, social media fame or get their work seen. And it explores the lengths that someone is willing to go to in order to get that done. And, per usual, Kiersey Clemens is just like so damn good. She's so good in that role. I saw Fixation too. Have you heard much about that?
No, I am so low on like TIFF stuff. So like, I haven't heard of most of it.
Fixation is another genre one.
Hold on, I'm getting my charger really quick.
Okay.
So talk.
I can blab. Fixation doesn't work as well as I think they hoped, but it still is a really unique way to like explore a certain kind of experience and headspace. It's a very difficult movie, if you couldn't tell, to talk about without spoiling, but like the production design and the way the story weaves through it is really impressive. And then that one also stars Maddie Hasson, who like she's just real damn good in everything she's in, and it feels to me like it's only a matter of time before like she pops and she's just a household name. And
yeah,
like I've seen her do a lot of tough genre stuff where it doesn't look like a pleasant headspace to be in. This movie demands that she operate at like not even an 11, like a fucking 50 the entire movie. And I'm just busy watching her performance in awe of how damn good she is, but also thinking to myself, like, you poor thing, why are you putting yourself through all this? Are you okay? But she's so good. That's the type of story and the type of role that does not work if you don't have a lead actor who's willing to like jump in, trust the people around them, and give it 110%, if not more.
No, that's fair. Not to switch gears very quickly, but I see a bunch of people say they're stoked on Smile, and I don't know if like there was a screening somewhere or something, but I saw somebody tweet out that like it rules, like it's super scary and like actually like really effective. So that is for your mom, who is super stoked on Smile.
Probably watching.
It's getting good reactions so far.
All right. I'll take that. I like that.
I will happily be proven that this movie rules. Like I'm really hoping this movie is just amazing. I see it 2 Mondays from now.
Oh, I need to figure out when I'm seeing it, hopefully very soon. Here's a midnighter for you, Matt. Sisu. Please tell me you've heard about that one. I'm surprised.
Possibly.
It's the new film from the director of Rare Exports.
Yes. Okay. So yes, I did. So I didn't know that was
Dude,
how. Yeah. Yeah.
you are going to love this movie. It is about, it's basically just a movie about like a lone wolf type of soldier who just like beats the shit out of Nazis. And
Yeah.
it's like
Okay.
the action is nuts and the blood and the gore. And it's just like one of those incredibly like simple and like very linear kind of storylines. The lead character is like a man who doesn't really speak the entire movie, but like if you want to see something like the type of movie that you can go to a midnight crowd and everyone's just like fuck yeah the entire time. I didn't see
Yeah.
it. I watched it by myself. I wish I had seen it in a crowd, but like it was getting that reaction out of me alone. It's just an exceptionally well crafted movie.
The one tweet I saw about that from somebody that I really trust was saying like the action pieces are actually really like well choreographed and like some of the best
Very,
action they've seen in a while. Okay, so
very.
that really gets me on, gets me going on it then.
No joke. And with some of the locations, I guess I won't give specifics why, but I feel like there's a
Yeah.
bunch of locations where it does feel like it would be difficult to me to craft like dynamic visuals in that sense, or
Nice.
like establish geography even to a point. But I think that they do that really well and they sustain the running time really well. I feel like one of the things that I grew concerned of in the first act was like all right, like is this just going to be the same thing over and over? But literally every single set piece shows off new tools in the director's toolkit, wows me in new ways, surprised me and by exploring certain avenues that I didn't think the movie was going to go down. And like it kept me on my toes. Like I was pretty scared for the guy the entire way through. It felt intense and vicious and I loved it.
I already had it on my list, and now I'll make sure it stays there.
I'm happy to hear that. Keep it there. Let me see if I have anything else. Oh, I saw Sick also.
So that one I am seeing at Beyond Fest, so I will get to see that soon.
I liked it.
Okay.
I really enjoyed watching the first like 3/4 of it until they reveal the truth behind the slasher. And that didn't quite work for me. But again, like the somewhat traditional chase 'em slasher set pieces still work really well and it's a solid ride and the cast is good. So doesn't really stick the landing, but I still think it's worth a watch.
It's not Kevin Williamson's next Scream.
I mean, it would be very, very difficult, and
Yes.
probably not very likely to ever get that statement out of me because I don't know, screw it. Like, I don't want to say this definitively because I'm always like, yeah, try to top Jurassic Park and Scream. I'm open to it. But are you really going to
Yeah.
top
No.
Jurassic
No. No.
Park and Scream? I don't know.
That's like career defining like
Yeah.
moments. Like when you release a movie like that is there's a reason why he has the pedigree he has, and it is because of Scream.
Yeah. Let me see if there's anything else I'm really eager to highlight before we move on from this. High School, the Tegan and Sarah show. It's so good, Matt. It's so
Okay.
good. It's just
I like
got
that. I like
like
Tegan and Sarah.
like really warm and tender quality to it. And like the two they're TikTok stars. They're not trained actors. They just pulled them off of TikTok and they're playing Tegan and Sarah, Rayleigh and Season. They're so good. And I don't know. I just feel like Clea Duvall was one of the perfect people in the world to spearhead this show and direct a whole bunch of the episodes. And Kobe Smulders is so good in it. I feel like I say that about her work all the time, but I don't know. This might be one of my favorite performances I've ever seen of hers. It became problematic for me. And I flat out said this to them during my interview, but it was a problem that they gave me the screeners for the full season before my interview because like what I should have done is watched an episode or two to be able to do the interview. But I had like 15 other movies to watch. And here I am burning through almost an
All
entire
of them.
season of their show. How dare they? It's really good.
How
Though.
dare they give
Really,
you something good to watch?
really,
Damn them.
it's a special show. It was I was very, very happy that I agreed to do that interview. And then when I saw how damn good it was.
I will keep watch for all of these things.
And
And someday
my final review that I'll share with you, Matt, Sweet Jesus ice cream is still a 10 out of 10.
that was good.
It's
I
so
still
good.
remember it. I haven't
It's
been back to
so
TIFF since
good.
like 2015, and I still remember Sweet Jesus.
Yeah,
It's good.
I have kept that tradition alive. That and steak with Bumbray, one of the last nights. Well,
So
Tuesday night we got steak, and Wednesday night we got Sweet Jesus.
I miss Fantasia Festival because I want to go back just to see Bumray again. Because our Bumray tradition at Fantasia is brunch, and we just do like we do bottomless brunch together, and then we do a day of Fantasia, and it's always the best day.
I feel like a lot of Bumbray traditions involve food.
He knows his shit. He's from there. He like as an outsider going there. Like I always go to Bumray. I'm like, where am I going? What am I doing? And he's a great one to like let you know around the Canadian area and Toronto or Montreal. He's got them all all down.
He does have you covered. He does have you covered. I did explore for one day, Toronto. We walked away from like the center of the festival and we went to Kensington Market, and it was just like a nice fun place to walk around that had nothing to do with the festival. And in all the years I've been going to TIFF, I've never really ventured beyond like a certain amount of blocks.
Yeah.
It was nice for a change.
I mean, Fantasia, I got yelled at the last time I went to Fantasia because I saw one movie while I was there. And because, well, like we just kept doing things like with Ted and like with people at the festival. And they just kept like saying, let's go do these things. And then Ted, after I left, he's like, hey,
that's impressive.
He's like, just for next time, like maybe try to see a few more movies. I still walked like, so end of festival, I still had 12 reviews done. So I don't think I slacked.
Okay.
Because that's the thing with Fantasia. Like it's such an online, like virtual festival that like, I'm there for a weekend. I'm seeing people networking, doing things. And then I still banged out like 12, 13 reviews. Like I'm doing my work. Don't think that doesn't happen.
No, I understand that. I feel like I saw most of the movies that I did interviews for beforehand. Like really the only things that I saw in person there, I saw Weird. I saw Glass Onion, which I loved.
Yeah.
I saw Empire of Light, which was all right. I didn't love that actually. I saw Chevalier with Kelvin Harrison Jr., another one of my favorites. I saw Women Talking, and I saw Fabelmans. So like I saw 6 movies while I was there.
And I mean, but that's the thing. Like you're there doing insane amount of other work, so it's like it's hard for I can go there and I'm just reviewing. So like that's the thing. That's why I never do interviews at festivals. Like I just
you definitely
reviews because I can't do both.
You definitely can't do both. It's like even right now, my goal was to film a review to post on the channel, and like not like while I'm at the festival, I'm scrambling to prepare to conduct the interviews, and then the second I get home, I'm scrambling to write up 20 interviews. So I don't think I'm going to wind up making a single review until I write up all the interviews.
No, and that's sanity for a little bit. I'm staring down. I do Fantastic next week. Not going, just virtually, but like Fantastic next week. That bleeds into Beyond Fest. I'm going to get a few things done, and that goes right into like Brooklyn Horror. And I'm like, I don't how.
There are a whole bunch of super chats that I've completely.
Yeah, no. We'll go all the way to the top.
I did. One. Travis is first. I did just see this before we signed on. It just dropped that Keanu is back as Constantine.
Yeah. Did not see that coming. That's amazing.
I didn't see that coming either. I want to actually read the report on it.
Yeah, because it dropped as I was signing on. Like I couldn't even read an article.
I'm reading from the Collider article. Francis Lawrence is also returning to direct.
Interesting.
Per deadline, blah blah blah. Akiva Goldsman's writing the script. This news comes on the heels of a lot of renewed interest in Reeves. Blah blah blah. I think that's like it in terms of like newsy news. Yeah, that's it.
So we just know what's happening.
Yeah, we know what's happening, which is great. That's awesome. Yeah,
I'm into it.
So am I. I like Constantine.
Interested. I don't love Akiva all the time, so I am like that makes me worried a little bit. Especially lately, I feel like I haven't connected with his screenplays. So like,
yeah, I understand
that's the one. That's the one there where I'm like, I
get it. And like, there's some good stuff in the mix on his filmography. I just feel of late, not so impressed.
And Keanu coming back is like that is the draw. Like that is what
Yeah.
we're watching it for. So like, as long as he
That's
can elevate the
huge.
material.
All right. The Jughead. Greetings, Perri and Matt. I'm looking forward to see how they run this Sunday. I love the whodunit genre. Love and respect from the UK. I missed this screening because of TIFF. I assume you didn't see it either.
No, I did.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I reviewed this one.
Oh,
I
how
got
was
through
it?
this one. It's good. It's a very it's trying to do both satire and a actual whodunit at the same time. So I kind of feel like the jokes are low hanging fruit. Like it does the thing where like it'll show a flashback and then the character right after the scene will be like, but flashbacks are hokey, and like make fun of what they just did. And that all works. Like it's all meta satire. They go with Agatha Christie stuff and like poke fun at basically like Agatha Christie mysteries, but also like pay respect to them and say like they are fun, they are great. We can also have fun poking our holes in them, but like no, we're here at the end of the day to respect it. But those low hanging fruit moments do kind of pile up, and that is the less fun aspect for me. The better part for me is like Saoirse Ronan and Sam Rockwell are doing tremendous together. Like for once, not for once, but like Sam Rockwell's usually the more colorful, character in like the movies he's in, and I think he gets to be the straight-laced kind of stone-faced character, and Saoirse Ronan gets to be the pluckier kind of like makes the jokes and like does all the fun stuff rookie. So that dynamic really worked for me, and the rest of the cast is like stellar. So like you're going in for the cast, you're going in to watch them do a whodunit, and you're getting some jokes that hit and miss on top of it. Yeah, they're fine.
I might go see it just for the Saoirse Ronan, Sam Rockwell of it all.
Yeah, it is by far the best part, and like that is what gets you through it. Like that is continually.
The Jughead also sent us a super sticker that we'll have to look at later.
We'll see it after.
Thank you so much for sending one at all. It is greatly appreciated. Vanya, we spoke about it. VHS 99. Matt,
go read my IGN review when it posts. It might be posted already. I don't know. Who knows? But it's fine.
I'm going to watch this as well. Thank you for the super chat, Vanya. While I'm scrolling down, I did not see the menu. I had to choose between Glass Onion and the menu and chose Glass Onion. And I'm very happy I did because I liked it a lot, but I also heard great things about the menu. So I would really like to see that as well.
Yeah, I didn't get it at Beyond Fest, and they're not doing screeners, so I can't see it as part of Fantastic. And like, I love fucking food horror. Like food horror, or like a thriller. Like I know it's not going straight forward horror, but like it's posing itself as a thriller in some ways. So the menu is like on the top of my list. I keep not being able to see it. So like, damn, I need to see that.
Maybe you'll have to get another tattoo if you like it enough.
Absolutely. Yeah, I got space down here.
Whole arm to work with. This is a good question, Andrew. What percentage of festival films get distribution 2010? Or did you just say like do that to go up?
Yeah, go up.
Really?
Absolutely.
I would be curious to see. Like, I think it depends like which festival, and I don't know.
So like here's the thing.
How
like,
much is, also like my brain might not be computing this right because how much is reported versus like.
Well, that's the thing. How much is reported, how much isn't, because like even to these indie festivals and like the horror festivals that we go to, like me going to Brooklyn, I'm going to see a lot of low budget stuff and a lot of low budget horror. There are distribution arms like October Sky, Wild Eye Releasing, like these ones you don't hear of ever, who will pick these movies up eventually. Like a movie just got released recently, like after like 3 years. I was sitting here going like, I saw this at Fantastic Fest. I wonder when it's going to get released. And like finally 3 years later, some rando distributor out of nowhere, like Blue Pond Releasing, and it like puts it out. So like, I think actually, honestly, I want to say like just by going through like my horror experiences, I think like 80%, 90% get picked up.
Oh, wow.
You just don't hear about it. That's the thing. Like it'll get picked up. I'm not saying it gets marketed. Like you're never going to hear about Blue Pond releasing La Casa, 4 years later, but because I'm a fucking insane person, I do. That seems
like a really high number to me. I would be curious to do the math to like actually.
Yeah, I 100%. I would love to see the math.
Do a little case study of a particular festival in a particular year, like something like 3 years ago.
Yeah, because like Andrew just said one that that is on my mind. It's like a puppet movie called Frank and Zed. And it's literally about like a Frankenstein and a zombie and like their puppets.
Yeah,
and
I think I kind of remember that.
Yeah. So like that is the thing, like the really fringe movies, like again, a puppet horror movie, that's going to be a hard distribution sell, and that'll probably stick
Yeah.
around for like 5, 6 years. But more do than like way more movies get that distro than you actually think of. It's just way smaller companies that you aren't hearing of because they're not going to market it even. Like they're just going to put it on VOD and hope that you see it.
I mean, kind of gives me hope that you think that the
Yeah.
percentage is that high. I like that.
Yeah. I really genuinely do.
Mike Joyce is here, undecided on seeing either The Woman King or Pearl tonight. Which would you recommend? Did you ever see Woman King?
I did not because that
Neither
was
did
my
I.
Pearl screening. So like literally I had to pick between them.
My Woman King screening was the night before I left for TIFF, and I had to cancel last minute because
Yeah.
I was drowning. So I did not see it either, but I hear great things about it.
Oh, I hear tremendous things about it. So
Yeah.
like that's kind of like a coin toss at this point. Like between Pearl and the Woman King, like just toss a coin, see or just see both. Like literally, like if you have the chance,
Well,
just see both.
yeah, there you go. Why not
Yeah,
watch
why
both?
not
Go
both?
for it. Double
Why not
double
both?
feature. That sounds kind of nice. I would
Yeah,
do
I
that
will be
double
seeing the
feature.
Woman King like when I can.
Yeah, I'm gonna be prioritizing that as well. What else did we have to talk about?
Oh, there's a bunch of. I mean, you can talk about whatever you want. I don't give a shit.
The Babylon trailer was awesome.
Bonkers.
That is like my kind of vibe I need in my life right now. And like that vibe, knowing it was directed by Damien Chazelle, I don't know.
Yeah,
I just like can't say yes to that movie eagerly and enthusiastically enough. I am very pumped for that.
yeah. The chaos of the trailer and the opulence and just the like. It's almost like a Wild Westness of like
Mhm.
showing LA that the LA that people think of and like the Hollywood people think of. I think is going to make for a bonkers ride, and especially just like I don't know all the cast they put together. Like goddamn, it just
Yeah.
I was that trailer was so transfixing in a way that like you felt the rhythm. You said like again
You
Chazelle just being
you
in charge.
You felt the rhythm, got caught up in the rhythm, and then you didn't want it to end when the trailer was over, and, like, what better thing could you be saying about a trailer? I mean, that is just the perfect sign that you wanna see the full movie, and I cannot
Yeah.
wait. I hope they start screening this thing early.
Well, and it's next year, right? It's like a January or what
It's,
is it?
a limited December release with a
Yeah,
wide
limited
release
December
in
then Jan.
January, but it's
Yeah.
like, now the TIFF is over, I finally filled out my Gold Derby, and it's just, like, a lot of the stuff that was and this happens every year, but it feels like it's more this year. A lot of stuff that was considered Oscar contenders because they're Oscar package type movies. It's
Yeah.
like the example I always bring up is the Goldfinch. It's like going into
Mhm.
TIFF that year, everyone had the Goldfinch on their list because of who was involved in that movie and because of the source material. That movie stunk. Everybody took it off their list the second it premiered at TIFF. That happens every year. But at this point, all of the likely contenders that people are picking on Gold Derby, like, a shockingly large amount of them, I don't think are, like, that good.
Yeah.
So,
I
I feel like I have some, like, blank spots on my list, and I need some of these other ones. And, like, I shouldn't maybe do this, I guess, because this isn't how it works, but I get really weird about adding things to my Gold Derby and predicting something without seeing it. I
because
have
that's the whole
to.
thing. Like, there are these movies that are made directly to be Oscar contenders, and there are these movies that like carry that air about themselves, and like going into it, like what to expect in a way, and us we. That's why the predictions are so silly to point, and that's why all this, like you just said, like putting a prediction for something that you see nothing of, and you just know the actors are in, and it's like, well, of course that'll be up for awards, and like sometimes you are very right, and other times you are very
Yeah.
wrong because it comes out and it's absolute dog shit.
There's times when that happened, but it's like, Babylon I'm still gonna keep in my list because it's Damien
Yeah.
Chazelle. The trailer looks like it does. It has a cast filled with people who have been nominated or won Oscar, so that one's staying in there. But you know, like The Sun, like I don't know what to do with The Sun because I haven't seen it and because the reactions seem all over the place. I don't
And
know.
there is nothing you can do until you see it. Like that's the thing. Like it literally will sit there now until you actually get to see it because you know
But then at the same time, even if I see it and let's just hypothetically say I don't like it, that doesn't mean it doesn't have Oscar chances either. So I wind up
no, no,
getting
no.
caught in a different kind of trap after I see it.
movie criticism and movie like punditry, all this stuff, it's just
Dude.
opinions and just trying to figure things out. And sometimes you're against the grain, sometimes you're with it. And
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. Do you want to hit any other stories before we close out?
I don't know.
I was sure you were going to want to say something about the Chucky trailer.
I mean, I'm excited for season 2. There's nothing else I have to say about it than like it's the trailer was like didn't even need to come out to have me sold on it. I liked season 1. I will not say I loved it. I think there were some pacing issues and some things about it, but where it left off leaves season 2 in like the best possible scenario. So you didn't have to do anything to me. Like we're getting like the whole, Devin Sawa coming back as like a pastor and like a private school, all that stuff. So like I hope we play a lot with like theology and things, and Chucky fucks around with like religion. And there is plenty TIFF. Like we saw the shot of the original TIFF doll coming back. So they are loaded with Easter eggs at this point, and you didn't have to do much to get me back in here. So I'm just excited we're getting more.
I'll end with this maybe. I loved The Fabelmans. That was
A lot of people did.
that was the last movie I saw at TIFF. That was the movie that I should have been the sleepiest for, but it was like really like the movie magic of it all, the movie magic on screen, how it represents how the movie magic has consumed Steven Spielberg. It just got me the second that film opened up, and it never lost that energy and excitement. And obviously, there's some sadness to it, given how it explores the relationship with his parents falling apart. But
Right.
my God, is that movie powerful? And I don't know, like it really, like this sounds hyperbolic, but it just felt like pure magic to me. And admittedly, that could also be time. Like I really did think that it was the perfect movie to end the festival, where I can't think of a better way to have left Toronto than with a movie that kind of, like explores him coming to terms with what his dream is and what he was meant to do, and just exploring and celebrating cinema in general. So that movie really worked for me.
I assume it's going to work for a whole lot of people as well.
I got a good feeling about that one.
Yeah.
Oh, and Werewolf by Night, that trailer's fucking awesome. Awesome. I can't believe they're making that. I can't believe they're making that.
And that, like, it was always the interesting thing of like, what happens when Marvel goes full horror? Like, what is that going to look like? And obviously we're going to wait until we see it, but you're going to go old school, like black and white, like Universal Monsters kind of werewolf. And okay, cool.
If that trailer is any indication of what the final product truly does look like, that's not even like Marvel dipping their toe into horror. That's like taking a very specific style of horror that I never thought they would have touched. And I am pumped.
I am excited, to say the least.
All right. Do you want to plug anything before we say goodbye?
The usual. Donata Twitter, Letter, Boxed, Instagram. I wrote a shit ton. I don't even want to plug it. Like I just wrote a whole ton. So go look at my stuff on IGN and other places.
All right. You always do like a whatever. You work so hard, and then you celebrate.
I do, and then I get to the end,
with no
and I'm just like, I've put the things out to the internet. They were there.
I guess. I'll do my same old thing and tell everybody to go watch the latest episode of Ladies Night, and it is with Mary Mauser for Cobra Kai season 5. She's been on the show before. She is still a friggin' like ray of light and just bubbling over with energy. And it was a delightful conversation, and also like an extremely insightful conversation about how someone can grow in the industry with a popular show like that. So highly recommend checking that out. Not biased. Biased in this case. I love Ladies Night. It's my baby.
Awful biased.
That is it. We are out of here. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we will see you next Friday with another Merri Hour. Goodbye.